Hello everyone and welcome back to another True Crime Time with Junebug. That's me. And today is a bit different, if you can tell from the title. One, I didn't put on a full face of makeup because I had to hurry and go to the vet this morning. For the cat, not myself. Dinky's fine, it's just her yearly. This is also the first video I'm recording with Rocket being like out and about. If I get distracted a lot, it's him. We've had him for 1 month today, but he, a couple times I have recorded since we've had him, we usually just put him in his nursery, quote unquote, which is what the vet recommended we set up for him anyway. But he's definitely out more often now. Generally, anytime we're home, he's out just doing Rocket things because he is pretty much litter trained. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, so do definitely trust him a bit more. And Dinky, she's doing okay with him. She's better at just ignoring him. And he's better at not always trying to be up her butt. So things are definitely better, but obviously he tries to think, and okay, well, he just ate a piece of leaf. Anything and everything goes in that little guy's mouth. So if I have to run to pull something off his mouth, yeah. But anyway, we're gonna do case updates today. I realized I wanted to do this every year that I do this. Last year was my first and only one, but I realized it's been slightly over a year. So I definitely was like, oh, I gotta do it now. So it's on par with last year's. Rocket, no. He's so wiggly. Look at it. He's burrowing. Yeah, can you just chill? Do you not wanna? Okay. But I remember last year when I went through all the videos I've done, all the cases I covered, I would say each case that didn't have an update. So this time I'm just mentioning the cases that do have slight updates. I'm not gonna go through every case I've ever done. So we're starting from sort of the beginning. The first one that has, and all by updates, none of these are like, they crack the case or anything. It's just little updates that go with the case. So we're going to start first one with the Meadows Massacre. I recently saw that more graves have actually been discovered this past year in the valley this took place, because I didn't quite realize it when I did the research. He's staring at me like this. I did the research. Not all of the bodies were discovered and are like buried under that big monument. Some are just kind of unknowingly buried in that valley. So they did happen to find more graves this year. And that is about it for the Meadows Massacre. Another update I saw was about Bobby Franks, who was unfortunately murdered by Leopold and Loeb. I saw a couple news articles recently, and one is this quote-unquote crime of the century is actually now a century-year old, which seems crazy. But I also saw an article. If the article's 100% true, I don't know. But it seems to be confirming that Leopold and Loeb were lovers. Doesn't excuse what they did in any way, shape, or form. But I always saw when I was doing research, it was like hypothesized or theorized that they were lovers. And it seems to be that it's official. Next is one close to home, literally, like an hour from my home. Talking about the Bath School Massacre, which is actually a video I did where I actually went to the site because it's a memorial now. They tore down the old school. They just had their 90s, not just, but they had their 97th year vigil back in May. He's on my lap now. And I saw it's been brought up more lately due to like politics and stuff and all the gun control stuff. And I see both sides like saying, well, see, like this has been happening for years, we need more gun control. But then there's some people who are like, well, it involved no guns, so I mean, haha. Either way, it's horrible, but it is being more talked about lately given the political climate. Did you hear him bonk his head? Okay, buddy. Next up with a slight update is Mr. Albert Fish, who sucks. I saw he placed number 8 on the 9 most notorious serial killers in history on Fox News, so way to go, Albert. Yeah, he sucks. This next one, when I remember I covered baby Charles Lindberg, baby Lindy. Turns out I've covered two baby Lindys, so I had to specify baby Charles Lindberg Jr. Apparently, it's been heavily debated a lot this year. I didn't realize that. And now many are more heavily believing that Richard Hampton, who was executed for this, actually didn't do it, which I can't remember what I thought. I thought it was a bit circumstantial, I think, but many more people are like, yeah, I don't think Richard did it. And more people and theories are coming out that this was actually a hoax or a cover-up for the fact that Charles Lindbergh himself killed his child. The theory is because Charles Lindbergh was known to, he likes curtains. Not Charles Lindbergh, I meant the cat likes curtains. I don't know how Charles Lindbergh feels about curtains. He was a bit of a Nazi sympathizer, and he very much liked the blonde hair, blue eyes, like the perfect race sort of thing. Also saw that he was invested somewhat in some of the medical experiments they did at the concentration camps. So some have theorized that he experimented on his son, or let people experiment on his son, like take his organs for not good reasons. And they blame Richard for a cover-up, which I don't know what I believe yet. I think I would like more sound evidence, but I mean, it is a very convincing argument. Stop it. Do I have to put you in your room? So that I thought was the most interesting and probably the biggest quote-unquote update in all the cases I've covered. So I thought that would be interesting to share. Next up is when I covered the Lavender Scare. Not really like a typical true crime time, but I mean, crime was done. It recently made headlines again with, Pride Month. And then I saw recently, and I watched it, Bailey Sarian made a video. So in the spirit of wanting people to learn things, go watch her video instead of mine. She does much better. The next case with an slight update, was when I covered Virginia Piper's kidnapping. And I saw it's still considered one of the most expensive ransoms of all time. It's about $6 million in today's money. And I can't 100% remember, but I'm pretty sure they did pay it. So it's just $6 million gone. Granted, you got your wife back, so I feel like it's a fair trade. Next case was a bit of a popular one for me. And by popular, I mean there's like 500 views. But was the kidnapping of Patty Hurst. It has actually now been 50 years since her kidnapping. Again, I thought it was longer ago. I just don't have a good concept of time, I guess. She is now 70 years old this year, and she wrote a new book about it, I believe, and she's still doing dog shows. Because if you remember from the ending of the previous true crime about her, the kidnapping Patty Hurst, she does dog shows on the reg now. Apparently she's very good at it. So she's still doing that. Because I know you were dying to know. Now the last two updates that I found were one with Tanya Cash. Now, two movies, quote unquote. I'm not 100% certain if they're like a documentary or a TV movie, which is technically slightly different than a movie, but whatever. But two movies came out recently about her case. One is called, quote, Beyond the Headlines, the Tanya Cash story with Elizabeth Smart, end quote, which aired June 8th on Lifetime, so like a month and a half ago. And I've heard of Elizabeth Smart, her case, watched a couple videos on it. I read her book, it's on my shelf. I don't think I'll ever cover that because there is so much, and it's just, I could never do it justice, but she covered like some of Tanya's story. Then there was also one called, quote, The Girl Locked Upstairs, the Tanya Cash story, end quote, which from what I saw, it was like shown before the first one on Lifetime, and then the one with Elizabeth Smart aired right after, like for commentary reasons. I'm not 100% certain. So if any of you were interested in that, they're both on Lifetime. Just wanted to throw that out there, that stuff is still happening. Then the last update I saw, which is kind of 2-in-1, I wanted to add. It's with Kathleen Folbig, so one of the more recent ones I covered. Kathleen Folbig, who was accused of killing her 4 children, and Lindy Chamberlain, who was served prison for people believing she actually killed her daughter, Azaria. But in reality, it was actually the dingo who got her baby. They both have signed an open letter for changes to the so-called, quote, no body, no parole, end quote, laws. And remember, this is in Australia, so the laws are obviously different depending on where you live. So I thought that was interesting that they're, I don't know if working together is a term, but they're trying to prevent, I guess, more moms for going to prison for things they did not do. And don't be mistaken, there's plenty of evil mothers out there, like this documented cases, but for the people who did not kill their children, I just don't feel like they need to go to prison, in my personal opinion. And this little crazy put together video is done. That is all the case updates. Out of all the videos I've done, there's only these 10 that had slight updates. Stop it. And next time, I'm gonna put this in his room. Or wait till he's napping. We're having some relatives come over later, so he will get all of his playtimes out. Yeah. So sorry if it was a bit scattered. I have this that's climbing me and biting me and chomping me. It's just, he's a wild child. So let me know if you do like the case updates. I generally will only do them once a year. So anyway, bye guys.